Hello, my name is Stacy Schultz, and you are with us on Exploring Aviation. I'm here with my co-host today, Bill Tischer. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Stacy. Hi, everybody.
Today we have a guest in-house. Her name is Cheryl Daml. She is a certificated flight instructor with Twin Cities Aviation here locally. And Cheryl's going to talk to us about some of her experience in aviation. She has over 3,000 hours of flight time, and it's a pleasure to have you, Cheryl.
Thank you. Nice to be here tonight.
I've got one question first.
Sure.
With 3,000 hours, are your arms tired?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's a lot of work flapping those wings, you know.
So Cheryl, tell us, what got you interested in aviation?
Well, first of all, I'm a first grade teacher by day, and but I've always been interested in flying, and one of my coworkers suggested that I take a class up at St. Cloud for teachers, aviation activities for elementary teachers. And we went to St. Cloud State and we made like model rockets and parachutes and balloons and things like that. And then one of the things we got to do was take a demo flight in a little Cessna 152. And that was the day that I decided to become a pilot. So
Very fun, very fun. So it's been like, I'm sorry, Bill.
I was going to say, how many years ago was that, though?
I think about 19 years
Okay.
ago. Mm-hmm.
19 years ago. So you
Yeah.
have a number of ratings under your belt, and you've just been flying on the side
Right.
over the years?
Right. So I started out just getting my private license and kind of did that, you know, like a couple times a month I would take flights, and then I was paying for my flying time by working at a flight school. And so I got to know a lot of the customers and a lot of the instructors, and from there it just kind of blossomed where I decided to get my instrument rating and my commercial rating and became a flight instructor after that, and that's kind of how it all started. So it kind of evolved over a process of a time period of about 8 years or so.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned private pilots, so what is that?
Well, a private pilot is basically the first license that you would want to get in order for you to be able to carry passengers and
Okay.
go places. You know, you can go any place and carry people with you as long as you have that private pilot license.
Great.
And then after that, you said instrument?
Right. So the instrument rating is a subsequent rating that you get that allows you to fly in the clouds.
And why would you want to do that?
Exactly. So sometimes there may be a time where you want to go to breakfast in Brainerd or something, and
Okay.
maybe there's like a thin layer of clouds here, but you know, farther away, then everything clears up, and gee, it would be nice to go to Brainerd, but you can't go right now because the clouds are too low. But if you had your instrument rating, you could pop through the clouds and head off to breakfast.
This sounds hard.
It sounds very difficult. So with some of the little planes we see flying around in Anoka and Blaine, these little small four-seaters, you can fly instrument with those airplanes?
Sure you can, yep. So if you have the proper training and the proper instruments in the plane, then you can fly instruments.
So, okay. So what's it actually like? So what do you do? Because you train people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is a typical lesson like for a first-time student?
Okay.
Is it scary?
It's scary. It's
spooky.
very scary.
Is it spooky? Do you fly upside down?
No.
Oh. You can ask
The
the,
goal,
next
the
question.
goal is to not fly upside down.
We'll just keep the shiny side up, yes.
Huh.
So, yeah.
So, okay, so what's it like though? So what do you do?
Okay, so inside the plane, there's controls on both sides of the plane. So the student sits on the left side, the instructor sits on the right side, and
So it's like driver's ed?
it's kind of like driver's ed, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so one of the first things that, well, you first of all teach the student the different parts of the airplanes and how to inspect them before you go flying, because that's kind of important, is that you want to be sure that everything works on the plane before you get in and start flying.
And what's that called?
That's called a pre-flight inspection.
Because you do it before the flight.
Exactly.
I get it.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
So then once you have that all done, then you both climb inside, and then you talk about all the different things that are inside the plane so that they kind of have an idea of what the instruments are that you're looking at inside the plane and what the controls do. So you have a yoke that's inside that's kind of like your steering wheel in your car, only it's not really a steering wheel.
Okay.
It's a yoke. So, and it goes back and forth like this and side to side like that. So you can turn and you can pull back and forth to make the plane go up and down. And the yoke is attached to some surfaces on the outside of the airplane to help you roll and pitch. And then there's feet pedals too that are very important.
Yeah.
So you have to be coordinated.
Kind of, yeah.
Rather.
Because that's one thing that I don't do. Ask Cheryl.
You don't use the rudders.
They're just there, you know. So the plane wants to yaw a little bit to the left when you take off. I don't mind it.
Feels great.
Some people do mind it though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So do you slap people like on the wrist or whatever? Are you a good instructor?
I try to be a good instructor and say, right rudder, right rudder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it work in my case?
If you're reminded,
Okay.
you are trainable.
Trainable.
That's great.
Yes.
That's what it's for. So with the students you fly with, do they usually start controlling the airplane pretty quickly into the first lesson or second lesson, or does that?
Usually the first lesson, you try to let the student do as much as they possibly can, and you're there just to make sure that everything is safe. So you don't want anything to not be safe. And you know, some students will just jump in and you know, be all gung-ho on it, and some are a little bit more timid, and so you just kind of, you know, see what the student is like and encourage them to do as much of the controlling as possible.
So what's the funniest thing that's ever happened while you were teaching some new student?
The funniest thing?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Or is everyone pretty good? Or is there's really nothing?
Yeah, nobody's
Funny?
really screamed and,
There's nothing funny.
said we're going to die. No, there's nothing funny about it.
So it's pretty, I mean, people take to it pretty easily.
Yeah,
and
yeah. It's some people are just, like I say, really excited to do it, and some people are just very afraid. And
So why do they want to fly?
why do they want to fly?
Yeah, I mean,
There's a lot of different reasons. You know, some people it's like a lifelong thing, that it's something they maybe started when they were younger and never finished, and it's always been something that they've wanted to come back to.
A life goal. that
Right.
Just
Yeah.
always wanted to, and maybe
Yep.
finally
Right.
have the money.
sure.
Right. And I think those are probably the most satisfying students to work with, because when you help them to achieve that goal, you see how much it meant to them, and it's really satisfying as an instructor to help someone
Sure.
towards that.
Sure.
But what about career pilots? Do you get people that want to go onto the airlines? Or
A few, yeah. I've had a couple over the years, and that's fun too,
Okay.
because they're very excited, and they tend to be really precise and want to do things, you know, really well. And
Very goal oriented, I would
Mhm.
imagine, because they're going to college, and now
Mhm.
this is a big step for them.
Right, right.
So how do they do that? Do they just drive up to the airport and say, give me Cheryl's business card and let's go fly? Or how do you, because I'm sure there's people sitting out in the audience
Mm-hmm.
right now that are going, I've always wanted to fly an airplane.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too old, or, you know, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
reason is. And now they've just said, Cheryl is making me get up out of my chair and I'm going to go learn to fly.
Go to the internet.
Let's all say it. I'm going to learn to fly.
Yes.
So what do they do?
So I guess the first step would be to contact a flight school and
Right at
go-
the Blaine Airport, right?
Right at
Okay.
the Blaine Airport. Twin
Yep.
Cities Flight Training is there, and I guess I would encourage anybody that's interested to come in and talk to one or two flight instructors, see, you know, how your personalities may match up.
I know what you mean.
Exactly. Yes.
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 Sorry.
Yeah, because you're going to spend a lot of time
You
in the
never
cockpit with
know.
that person. So
How much? How much time? Days, weeks, months, years? What?
it
Too much
depends.
time.
It depends.
Turns out to be too much after a while.
Depends on what kind of a learner you are.
In Stacy's case, how long would it take?
It would only take her a couple months. No.
Wow.
You might be a little longer than that.
I've got books.
Yes, you do. You have lots of books. Yes. So it varies with everybody. It depends on how much time you have to devote to it. If you're only flying like once a month, it's going to take you 6 years or whatever. But if you can fly a couple times a month, or ideally 2 to 3 times a week,
Right.
is really good, because then there's not so much
Save
space in
money, too.
between your lessons. And whereas if you're just a couple times a month, when you come back for that next lesson, it's been a couple of weeks, and maybe you've kind of forgotten what you did the time before, and it takes you a while to get back into it. And whereas if you are flying on a more regular basis, there's less repeat kinds of things.
So it's actually less expensive is
Less
what you were saying.
expensive, or
Right.
you could save a little bit of money possibly if you
The
stay
more
on
you
track.
fly.
If you
Right.
fly more, yes.
Yeah.
So what are the airplanes? What are they like? Are they 2-seat, 4-seat, big ones, little ones?
Fat ones, skinny ones.
All of the above.
I think there's a song there.
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
They're usually 4-seat, and you can. The Cessnas have wings that are mounted on the top of the airplane. Warriors have the wings that are mounted on the bottom of the airplane. So you call them high wings and low wings.
Okay. And what's the difference for flying? I mean, any big difference?
The low wings are maybe a little bit more stable. They all fly. They all
Okay.
fly.
They all
And
fly.
so it's just as easy actually to learn in a low wing as it is in a high wing.
Okay.
So,
So it's up to the person just to try it out then.
right, yeah. Yeah, to get in.
Just see which one you acclimate to or something.
which one you feel comfortable
I learned in
in.
the high wing, so I feel like they're my favorite.
Right,
But then I meet other people that learned in the low wings, and that's their favorite. So
right.
Right.
I suppose.
Yeah, it's all what you get used to, I think.
So then the instrument, you mentioned that, and that's another rating. So about how long does it take to be able to learn to fly in the clouds?
That's at least another 40 hours is required by the FAA. And
It's like a week.
yes, 40 hours.
Just a breeze.
This doesn't sound bad at all.
No, it's easy. It's so easy a caveman can do it.
Okay, here we go. Don't call. Yes. Cavemen will call.
We've had experience with that.
Yes.
That's another show. So okay, so about 40 hours of training for the instrument. And then after that, what did you do? Or what do you have to do to be an instructor?
To be an instructor, then you go on to get your commercial rating, which allows you to be paid for flying under certain regulations. Don't ask me about those, please.
So we
Well,
won't touch on that
We
tonight.
just happen to have a list right here.
We're going to see if you're on point.
Exactly.
So the
Yes.
commercial rating, is that the same thing as the airline, flying for the airlines?
Not exactly, because that would require more
Two more
training.
things.
Yeah.
So in general, this is so that you could get paid, but then there's other rules about the airplane, right? So like you couldn't just jump with your commercial license onto a 747 and go fly that around.
Correct.
John Travolta did.
Yes. Well.
That's where money goes, God.
Harrison Ford did. There's two.
Yeah. No, it doesn't quite work that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah.